Welcome to the Impact Storyteller Show. My name is Anna Ngurachu, also known as the Impact Storyteller. I'm the author of the book 10,000 Steps Towards Me, creator of Impact Storyteller, which focuses on writing and personal development coaching. As a writer, I tell stories of impact that cause people to reflect, change, and act towards living authentically. Through my coaching, I help those who dare to change to think and live differently and hopefully make an impact in their lives. I also currently consult as a development economist. The Impact Storyteller Show is an online show that gets down to real talk with a selective caliber of guests, and we focus on personal development and self-discovery. In my book, I touch on 12 aspects that may influence your ability to live authentically. Today, we will dig into one aspect. To dive into the other 11 aspects, I've put a free framework of reflective questions called a dozen reflective doses that will help guide you through your own self-discovery process. You can find the link below. So today we have the pleasure of having Campbell Rapin join us. If you haven't heard that name, then you're in for a treat. Christine is a business coach and lifestyle strategist. She founded the online community Chasing Dreams and Making a Positive Impact in 2018. With over 25 years thriving in male-dominated industries in the corporate world, she has learned to define success on her own terms. She advocates for career professionals to stop investing all their energies working 50 plus hours a week, building someone else's dream as an employee, and to prioritize building their own dreams by becoming entrepreneurs, whether it's a side hustle being run along a corporate career or making the transition to full-time business ownership. Christine has a Bachelor of Commerce and an MBA in International Business, and is the author of the course, Plot Twist, I've Been Fired, 4 strategies to rebuild your life and launch your next chapter. And she also has a book collaboration called Heal 4.0 that's due out in April 2022. Welcome, Christine, all the way from Canada. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you.
Super.
It's a pleasure to be here.
No, thank you so much for making the time. And as you know, Christine, we like to jump straight into the topic. So the theme for today is under the concept of extraneous circumstances and their influence on you, or when life happens. So maybe Christine, you've already shared a little bit about this to me, but what event has dramatically shaped your life and thrown you off course a little or in a major way? Can you share more about this event and its impact on you?
100%. So first off, thank you for having me. It's really exciting to share and to just talk and bring it out into the open, because I think we often feel a great sense of shame. And I know I personally have, when sometimes life doesn't go the way you expect, and it can leave you crying on the bathroom floor, wondering what just happened? Yeah. Where do I go from here? And really just generally questioning everything. And that's certainly my story, and the story that particularly was the catalyst to getting me where I am today. And for me, it was losing my job. And I have lost my job more than once, and every time was different, but it really shifted my life in a very short period of time. And in the last case, it was 5 years ago. I was on the road. I was far from home, having a great day in my business life, and was looking forward to kicking back in the evening at the hotel. Walked into the lobby, and there was my boss in HR, and in a heartbeat, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to be fired. And I never saw it coming. And so while they detonated my life in a 15-minute conversation, they then got on a plane and went home. And I didn't have the same luxury. I wasn't actually scheduled to fly home until the next day, quite far in the day. So I spent the next 17 hours on the bathroom floor, having to make that heartbreaking phone call home to my then fiance to say, babe, I've just lost my job. And our dream to buy a house that we were in the middle of doing was off the table, because the impact that meant, not having a job, and what that meant to be able to qualify for mortgages and things like that. And to say, I don't have the answers and I'm scared, and I don't know what just happened, but more than anything else, I can't change it. So I am going to have to start figuring out what this means, because no matter how much in my head I kept going over, what did I do? What could I have done differently? I was right where I was. On the floor, trying to go, wow.
Yeah. that's a harsh reality to face, especially when it's, you said you were out of the in a hotel or something.
Yeah, I was 1,400 kilometers away from home.
Exactly. And you have to face this by yourself. And I mean, this is something that a lot of people have actually faced, obviously in different circumstances. But I mean, what did, like, when you were sitting on that bathroom floor, or maybe afterwards, how did this shake your value system, or start to question your value system? I mean, you've been in the corporate world for nearly 25 years, and then bam, this happens. What started to shift inside you?
I think you start replaying every moment that you think is so insignificant, and you don't get the answers you want. I think the first thing is no matter what happened, I was never going to get the answers I wanted. That's partly legal reasons. That's partly just nobody wants to be that honest, even though being that honest would be so much more helpful. And so it does question you. You start to go, where did I go wrong? Where do I go from here? Do I have any value? And certainly after this happened, for quite a few months, obviously I was in a great period of darkness, a great period of transition. And that's where I think about that plot twist analogy so helpful, because there's this moment in the hero story, and I want everyone to know you're the hero in your own story. You're in this period of darkness, and you go within, and you do start to question who you are. You start to think you have no value. It's hard to go and talk about the fact that your life has dramatically changed, and it doesn't matter whether it's employment or changes in your family circumstance or anything. You do have the sense of, I'm not who I was yesterday when I got out of bed. I'm not even who I was when I got out of bed today, and I don't know who I'm becoming. And that's that period where I always think like a butterfly, it's goo. You're in the gooey state, but you do have to one day start to go, who do I want to be in the next chapter? Right. And for me, that took periods of months. It didn't happen overnight, but I had to remind myself, and I had other people in my life remind me, I'm still a good person. Just because someone didn't see my value in this job did not mean that I had no value. But I had to get in touch with, where value do I want to give the world now? Because I'm no longer that. And for women and men in the career professional world, what I will tell you is every plot twist and every time that I've had a major change in my career, whether that's promotion, whether that's shifts backwards, changing jobs, changing companies, is that you're not your job. You're not your job title. You're not the company brand. So it's really important that you start to look in the mirror and go, who do I want to be? Where is my value? And I had to tell myself repeatedly, probably about 100 times a day, I'm still a good person. This moment it has impacted my life. It's part of my story now. I'd love to have missed this chapter in the storyline, but I didn't get to it. And if I look back now, 5 years from now, like when that happened, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I like where I am today. But that moment I couldn't, I was in darkness. I couldn't see it yet as a gift. Hindsight absolutely shows what it was.
Oh, I love it. So going within yourself to see, who do I want to become? Who am I? Besides this role that I've been given. So that self-introspection is much needed when you go through these kind of plot twists. I mean, apart from the self-reflection, how did you overcome this event? It took obviously months, as you said, but what eventually allowed you to move past it? How did you overcome it, or have you overcome it?
Yeah, I think it's a process of becoming, but one moment, and everyone will have it at a different timeline, but I trust everybody has it because it's a universal thing, is you get up one day and you look at yourself. And this was my story. I got up one day just like any other, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and all of my big life decisions and reflections happened looking back in my mirror. I think it's my dad in my head who kept saying, at the end of the day, only you know at the end of the day when you see your reflection if you showed up as a good human being today. And if you didn't make great choices tomorrow, you get to choose again. And you don't owe anybody any explanations, but you must be able to hold your own gaze. So one day in my pitiful, not taking very good care of myself stage, my darkness, I looked in the mirror and I made myself 3 promises. And it was the first time I really saw myself in quite a while. And I thought, I don't like who I see looking back at me. I think I was a shadow of who I was capable of being and a shadow of my former self. I didn't have the joy, the hope, all of those things, just seemed really far back in my gaze. And I could still see the spark of who I was. And so I personally looked in the mirror and made myself 3 promises. And those 3 promises became the guiding lights. They were the commitments I was going to make to myself. They happened to be 3. These were mine. Number 1, I wasn't going to be dependent on my employer, a single employer, for my future financial well-being. So I had to make a plan. I didn't know what the plan was. I didn't get caught up in it, but I said, I won't let that risk happen again.
Yeah.
Because I think it's always a risk when you're employees. Number two is like, I'm never going to let all of my social circle be tied to my job.
Right.
Because when I did lose my job, I lost a big part of my community. And that's why I founded my community, because I just know when that happens, a stranger will be more supportive, maybe than your intimate friends you thought were there, and they're not. And the irony was, people in my previous job would come to me all the time for still mentorship. They in fact called me to ask me, how do I go be successful in your job? And I was like, wow, I can't believe you're asking me that. But if you have the courage to ask me, I have the courage to show up and help you. And I'm just, that was again about me wanting to be a good person. So I did. I helped them get my job. And the third promise was I wasn't going to let a job dictate or influence my health, mental or physical, and that I needed to really be clear on my boundaries coming out of this. And so I just made those commitments to myself. That's what I did to start, when I started to come out of my reflection. And then I put pen to paper and thought, it's not a job title that will make me happy. It's not a salary X dollars that will make me happy. What are the things in my life that I value? What does opportunity look like? How do I want to play? Who do I want to play with in my next chapter? And I just started to freeform write. And it's one of the exercises I take people through in my course, because I think you need to be dropping the labels and get really clear with what will make you happy.
Yeah.
And if you can get clear on the concept, the feel, the look, the style, the pace, right now you might not see it, but opportunities will come your way that meet that. But when people look and want to help you, because they will, we're good human beings, I think, and people will want to help you on your journey.
Yeah.
But going to somebody say, find me a job isn't helpful. But if you say, these are the things I value, these are the things I'm really good at, here's how I can contribute, and this is how I want to spend my day.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is those opportunities come your way, and they will never come in shapes that you expect, in labels they expect, or maybe even industries that you expect, or locations that you expect, but they'll come. Because the universe will work in your favor if you get clear on what you want. Exactly. And it happened for me that way. I made that list. I got clear. I did go back working corporately, but I knew, because it wasn't a part of the promises, that my corporate role wouldn't be everything anymore. It just would never be. And 6 months into my corporate job, of course, I had the opportunity where someone in my network from 10 years ago remembered a conversation with me about the things I wanted, not the job titles, not the salary, not the location. She happened to be halfway around the world in the UK. I was back in Canada, and phoned me and said, do you want to talk about an opportunity? Because I have something that might interest you. And I wasn't prepared on Wednesday when I got out of bed to go start a business. But by Friday I had, because again, those plot twists, those shifts can happen instantaneously, and you choose how you go through them.
Exactly.
But you must be able to look in the mirror and reflect and go, I see you.
I love it. I love that you had this aha moment. And I even love the fact that it's become something beyond just you. You mentioned that you started a community and you wrote the plot twist course to actually help others. So those three things that you mentioned speak very, very dearly to me as well. I've always been that person who always believes that you need to create your own wealth for yourself and your family, because unfortunately, traditionally, we've all been taught how to create wealth for companies, but never for ourselves. And starting a side hustle, starting a side business as entrepreneurs is something that is so valuable, but not very many people, some people look down upon it for some reason. And I'd like to ask you, talk to us a little bit about your community and how you ensure you pass this new mindset, this new way of thinking to future generations, to current generations, and even your own family. How do you ensure that people in your network, in your circle, know that they need to create wealth for themselves and they need to, think on those 3 points that you just shared with us?
Yeah, I think it's something I know because I've done a lot of reinvention in my life. The plot twist in the career, obviously, is the one I've spoken of today, but we're always evolving. And we grew up with the expectation that there was a really predefined path. And it was shaped maybe by your community, by your influences, by what you thought was possible for you. And you made some judgments, and you continue to make judgments every single day about that. And yet I know, like, if I look back my career, it looks really abstract, but I'm like, there was always something that shifted. There was always an opportunity, and it was never in the path I expected, but I always was willing to bet on myself. And that betting on myself, I credit my parents for it, but I recognized I probably borrowed the belief I could from them until I owned it myself.
Right.
And so when I started to make the community, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be the guide, the light, the catalyst that says it's possible. I am not anything special, just like you, a girl who's hit some plot twists, scraped herself off the floor on more than one occasion, and just kept going. So just borrow my vision that it's possible. It's possible for me, it's possible for you. And yet I also really knew that when you start to think I'm going to do something different with all good intentions, there's a lot of people in your life who aren't going to cheer for you.
Yeah.
Because they're fearful for you. And the irony, like when I started to know, I knew early in my life, I'm a bit unique. I'm not an accidental entrepreneur. The timing was accidental, but I knew I would do something for myself because I wanted to be the kind of leader that I wanted to be. And I felt the world needed that.
Yeah.
I liked doing it. It was way more fun than trying to live by somebody else's standards. But I knew that you might not have a cheering squad. And in fact, your biggest fans might suddenly abandon you.
True.
And so the community was so important to me because I wanted people to see different people, not just my story, but different people's story, and recognize you don't have to have it all figured out. All you need to recognize that your biggest hack in life is to find somebody who's doing the kinds of things that you'd like to do, and not pedestal them, but go, what habits do they have? And what habits will I need to do the same? And then start showing up and doing those habits. So the community was really important for me to come and be a place where you can sit until you're ready to stand. And you might be in a plot twist, you might be in an early stage entrepreneur, you might be thinking, well, I bought myself a job and I'm kind of faking it. And I'm like, okay, well, you'll run out of runway, but then model someone who knows good business sense, which I hope I can be for you. Yeah. It's not about selling my services in that community. It's like, there will be a million reasons why entrepreneurship or business ownership might be the right fit for you that you maybe never imagined. True. What will yours be is the conversation I want to have. And it could be for community, it could be for skill set, it could be for having a sense of independence, it could be for financial reasons, it could be a million of those. What I will tell you is you don't have to have the how mapped out. Yeah. Come be surrounded by the energy. It's different. And the truth that people don't know is that once you start on the journey, it's going to be a stranger that will cheer for you first. Because another entrepreneur will just instantaneously go, you've got the courage that I had, and how can I help you? And that's a beautiful thing to be part of. And it doesn't mean I said to need to be this massive jump with no safety net. I think side hustles are a smart strategy. And I read a great stat last week that said, if the best way to run a business is to learn to become a business owner. And you do that by being in a side hustle. And in fact, if you go down that road, you're diversifying your risks. You have a bit of extra income. You're learning the skills. You're learning the mindset. You're seeing the ups and downs because it is an emotional roller coaster, just like losing your job is. Yeah. And yet 33% less risk that you will not succeed in it if you do it in that strategy. So I'm like, well, I want to stack the deck. Exactly. And you don't overthink it. And again, go into it. What does success look like for you as you learn? Yeah. It's not the result. The result is not the thing you judge or measure by. It's, am I learning? Am I being open-minded? And if my path isn't your path, in the community, you will find others to connect with. And if I could be that catalyst, I'm living large in my own expectations of success. Come along for the ride, sit until you can stand, be around people, cheer each other on, and just also see the diversity that's out there. Because I said, you started your journey thinking, I could only be X. Well, this will give you a much broader view of what is possible. And I think the most amazing thing is that we're all people with unique talents, skills, gifts. The world needs it. Yeah. Find a way to contribute that feels right for you, and find good people that will help you, and people you want to play with. Choose your tribe. Yeah. And I said, come find mine and borrow mine. And if you stay a season or stay a lifetime, that's really your choice. Yeah. But we'd love to have you there.
I love that. Sit before you can stand. I love it. Or borrow each other's beliefs and help that. take you on your journey. Beautifully said. I mean, there's this last question I'd love to ask you. I mean, in the world right now, we're seeing what is called the Great Resignation. People are shifting and looking for opportunities of their own, starting their own side hustles. And I love that stat you gave. It puts it into perspective very nicely. What would you say to somebody who's going through a plot twist, either lost their job because of, with the whole pandemic, etc., or somebody who's about to get onto that journey of becoming a business owner because they've decided, look, I'd prefer to, take chances and have my freedom. What would you say to the two individuals based on what your learnings and your experiences have been?
Yeah, I think the first one is, I know both feel really scary. You don't have to have all 10 steps mapped out to make a shift. First off,
Right.
don't, that's what will hold you where you are longer. And will tell you, every single person who's ever made a change, whether it's a change in job to improve their mental, physical, spiritual health, or financial reality, always looks back and goes, I wish I'd done it sooner. So don't get caught up in the how. That's my first piece of advice I would give. The second is that you don't have to do it by yourself. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. My whole life and the whole message I want out to make is don't be one thing. And I mean, not live the life of job title, don't live the life of wife, mother, sister, brother, caregiver, whatever life titles you currently own that somebody else gave you.
Yeah.
Build your and story. So for me, I'm a corporate executive and a 2-time business owner and a wife and a stepmom and a daughter and a sister. And I'm all these things, but I'm not driving myself into the ground working 100 hours a week to make anybody else's life happen. This choice was really a lot about, I'm doing this for me. Yeah. So my second tip is do this for you and get clear on what your own measure of success will look like, because nothing worthwhile is a smooth sail. And it's really important that you have community. So third one is reach for help. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, go and get a coach, although I think there's a great place for that. But recognize that you don't have to do it all yourself. The shortest way to be successful is to model the behaviors of people that are successful and ask questions, be supportive of each other, and give yourself grace, because we will all overestimate how much we can get done in the short term.
Yeah.
We all do. And then we feel crappy about it because we're like, well, I think I should be further ahead in life. Right. And you wake up every day, you can't live like that. But the opposite is also true. You will underestimate what you can do in 5 or 10 years. So when I started my journey, I said, when I had this opportunity, I was getting married, moving house, started a new job, was traveling 40% of my week, typically on my corporate job. And on Wednesday, I wasn't planning to be a business owner on top of all those things. But I could see a possibility and focus on the possibility, not on the fear. And I said, 1 hour. I will commit 1 hour a day. Monday to Friday was the commitment I made. I don't want to watch another show of Netflix. I don't want to kick around and do the same things over and over again. I will spend 1 hour a day building my dream. Right. And that snowballed into where I am now, 5 years later. And my vision's so much bigger. But it's the small things that will help. Know that it's possible. Borrow community. Learn the skills you are going to need, but recognize you don't have all the answers from day one. Yeah. Give yourself the grace and recognize that nobody has it all together. There's no business owner who launched thinking I knew exactly what I was doing. Half the time we get out of bed and go, still don't know what I'm doing. But I now have people I can ask to say, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And sometimes that's just fear. People will say, you know what you're doing, just keep showing up. And other times there'll be some great tips and advice of saying, you need clarity on this to move forward. And you need action, systems, tools to get you to the next place. All of those are valuable insights, but I got them because I got into conversation.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing. I love it. Don't do it by yourself. Thank you. I mean, you obviously have so many more insights to share, Christine. Where can the audience find you, learn more about your story, and maybe be part of your community as well?
Yeah, my first place, I would just direct you to my ecosystem on the World Wide Web, and that's the best place to reach me. It's my name, so www.christinecampbellrapin.com. And in there, you're going to find ways to jump into our Chasing Dreams and Making a Positive Impact community. It's a free community. Come be part of it. I said, sit until you're ready to stand. You'll also see about the business programs, the plot twist course that I've mentioned here, and just connect. there's no expectation that it means a lifelong marriage. I could be very happy to have you in our community. I'm very happy to know about your story. Everybody has one. Use your own unique story to make an impact. And if I can help you along the way, it would be my great gift in life to be able to do that. So reach out and connect. That's the best place to start. And you can find me on all the other social media platforms, but that will tell you a little bit about who we are. And you can reach out and connect with me there.
Super. Thank you so much, Christine. I'll be sure to put all of those links at the bottom of the video so people can definitely get in touch with you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing your story and your lessons with us. I think they were very deep and reflective. And thank you for your honesty and vulnerability. And that's what we love on the show, and that's what we want. We want people to be vulnerable because that's the only way we can learn from other people's, stories and vulnerable sharing. So, Christine,
we're all a work in progress.
Indeed.
Just remember that.
Indeed. Couldn't have said it better. So we like to end up with a short game called This or That Game. And Christine, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a quick question. So if you had an extra day in the year, day number, I think that's 366, would you rather spend it working on your business or your various businesses, or would you take off on a hike with your family and friends, or just by yourself, and why?
I would do the second.
Nice.
I think self-care and reflection is really important to move and to feel connected. I think that's really important. So I'm a big advocate. I'm a very typical West Coast Canadian girl. I love to be outside, whether that's hiking or skiing. And I think at the end of the day, nobody will say I worked more. They will always say I connected more.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what the big, when they ask people who are reaching the ends of their storyline, what's your biggest regret? It's not I worked more. And yet the reason I love my work, and don't misunderstand, work is about impact for me. So I want to make a great impact, but I make an impact first and foremost by the people that are closest to me. And I would never want them to feel second. So if I was given an extra bonus day, without a hesitation, I would spend it with them.
I love it. Thank you for teaching us about perspective and priorities.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christine, for your time. I really, really appreciate you on the show. That's it for today. And to the audience, we'll catch you next time. Bye. Well, there you have it, a few minutes of deep, impactful insights. Thank you very much to our guests. You can find our guest links in the description below, so check those out and stay in touch with them. For key takeaways on how to reflect and apply what we've talked about here, I've put a free framework of reflective questions based on my book 10,000 Steps Towards Me that will help guide you through your self-discovery process. Click on the link in the description to jump into my framework tool, a dozen reflective doses. Remember, there's nothing more purposeful than finding you and taking the leap to live authentically. Feel free to share your stories with me. I can't wait to hear about how you made that leap for yourself. Until next time!